People assume the ugliest betrayals happen in boardrooms or breakups, but mine unfolded in a pastel pink office that smelled faintly of vanilla, printer ink, and desperation. I'm Quinn, senior copywriter for HeartSpark Agency, a boutique ad firm best known for producing tearjerker commercials involving pets, grandmas, or occasionally a grandma adopting a pet. I wrote taglines that made people cry at Thanksgiving. I was good at my job, but my boss, Felicity Drake, wasn't good at anything except taking credit and wearing silk blazers so shiny they created lens flare in office photos. Still, I liked my team. I liked my clients. I liked that our office dog, Pickles, preferred my lap over everyone else's. So when our biggest client, Clover Cup Coffee, announced a national rebranding challenge, I was excited. Clover Cup was everywhere. Billboards, airports, those tiny cups the dentist gives you. Their brand needed a refresh, and the winner of the challenge would get a huge bonus, a feature in an industry magazine, and the kind of recognition that could catapult a career. I spent 2 weeks crafting my pitch, 2 weeks living on questionable takeout and iced tea, 2 weeks writing, rewriting, and whispering lines into my phone like a caffeinated poet. Finally, I landed on the perfect tagline: sip your moment, simple, warm, human, everything Clover Cup wanted. I put together a deck so polished it practically sparkled. I emailed it to Felicity for review the night before the pitch meeting. She replied with a thumbs up emoji. Not ideal, but not alarming. The next morning, I walked into the conference room ready to present. Felicity stood at the front with my slides already queued up. "Perfect timing, Quinn," she chirped. "Take a seat." I blinked. "A seat? Aren't I—" She cut me off with a smile so bright I briefly feared for my retinas. "I'll handle the talking. You know how leadership loves consistency. Leadership liked consistency. No, leadership liked results. And leadership definitely liked me more when I talked, but I sat down anyway." Felicity clicked to the title slide, and there it was, my tagline, my concept, my entire pitch deck. But instead of presented by Quinn Avery, it read, Concept by Felicity Drake. My lungs briefly forgot how to function. She presented everything flawlessly, not because she understood it, but because she memorized it. She didn't even stumble on the metaphor about coffee being a hug your mouth thinks about later. I'd written that at 2 a.m., delirious with caffeine fumes. Clover Cup executives clapped. They smiled. They loved it. Afterward, the lead exec shook Felicity's hand. "Brilliant work," he said. "This is exactly what we've been searching for." Felicity beamed. "Thank you. Inspiration strikes at funny hours." My internal monologue said many things, none of them appropriate for a workplace that provided complimentary scones. That afternoon, an internal email went out. Congratulations to Felicity Drake for creating Clover Cup's new national branding concept. I stared at my screen until the letters blurred. Then Pickles, the office dog, wandered over and rested his head on my knee as if saying, "Yeah, that was messed up." I agreed. At first, I thought about marching into her office, but I knew how that would go. She'd say it was all a misunderstanding, sprinkle in some corporate jargon about synergy, and somehow talk me into rewriting the tagline again. No, I wanted something precise, something that would expose the truth calmly, quietly, unmistakably. A revenge brewed like a slow, perfect cup of coffee. And I had one advantage Felicity didn't know about. Clover Cup had asked for a behind-the-scenes feature for their magazine partner. A video team would come to our office to film the creative process. And Felicity? She hated being filmed unless she had 3 days' notice and a lighting crew. This was my window. The video team arrived on a Tuesday morning with microphones, tripods, and a drone that terrified Pickles. Felicity swept in wearing a blazer that could blind satellites. "Let's capture our collaborative spirit," she said, placing a hand on my shoulder like we were lifelong soul sisters. They filmed us brainstorming. She pretended to take notes, reviewing the deck, she pretended to understand graphs, and discussing the spark of inspiration. That last part was my moment. The interviewer asked, "Where did the tagline come from?" Felicity inhaled dramatically. "I had this vision. Oh, I interrupted, feigning surprise. Should I show them the original drafts, the early concept recordings? You know, the ones I sent you the night I wrote the tagline? Felicity froze. The interviewer raised an eyebrow. You documented the creation? Oh, yes, I said, pulling out my laptop. Voice memos, typed timestamps. I even filmed myself explaining the tagline while baking muffins, because the idea hit suddenly. Want the footage? The video team eagerly nodded. I clicked play. Up popped a video of me in pajamas, measuring flour while saying, tagline idea, sip your moment. Coffee is a pause in your day. Warm, simple, personal. Felicity made a sound similar to a deflating balloon. The interviewers exchanged looks. They thanked us politely. They packed up and left with 2 hours of footage, most of it featuring Felicity nodding awkwardly while I explained the actual creative process. 3 days later, the article went live. The headline: Meet the mind behind Clover Cup's new message, the warm genius of Quinn Avery. The video clip showed my muffin baking brainstorm, my memos, and, wonderfully, Felicity's horrified face when the footage played. Internally, the office group chat exploded. Even Pickles barked at Felicity when she walked past his dog bed. The executives called her into a meeting. She emerged 20 minutes later, looking like someone had told her her favorite candle scent had been discontinued. She wasn't fired, but she lost the Clover Cup account, and the company quietly reassigned her to a new role, Internal Operations Liaison, which is corporate for, please stay away from clients. Management called me in next. They apologized. They praised my creativity. They offered me the lead role on Clover Cup's full campaign. They even gave me permission to bring Pickles to my office 3 days a week, which frankly mattered more than the raise. Now my tagline is on billboards, commercials, and coffee cups nationwide. Sip Your Moment is everywhere, even on shirts for some reason. Felicity hasn't tried to steal anything from me since, mostly because she doesn't get access to creative decks anymore. And on my desk sits a small framed sticky note I wrote myself. Document everything, especially brilliance. Sometimes revenge is loud, sometimes it's messy, but the best kind? The kind served warm, smooth, comforting, like a really good cup of coffee.